Well, here we are, day 14 of One Object a Day, and this has come up in a couple of questions actually, but for those of you that know me, you know that I'm, I suppose, a bit entrepreneurial. I've always been happy working on my own as a freelance journalist, photographer back in the day, or indeed more recently starting my company, Yomdal. But as an example of that, I suppose, that kind of little entrepreneurial spirit that I've always had. There was one photograph that I once took, which I want to share the story of actually. I was driving home one night across Vauxhall Bridge in Westminster, and I got to the south side of Vauxhall Bridge, and I saw there was a double-decker bus on its side. This was about 2 o'clock in the morning, probably something like that. And I thought that would be a great picture. And strangely, I didn't have my cameras with me. I was in my mini metro, and I drove off home back down to Deptford, picked up my cameras, got back probably about 2:30 or something like that, and I knew that I had to wait for this bus to be picked up because the picture would be the bus at 45 degrees. So I waited. There was one other photographer there as well, and I'll tell you about in a minute. And this was on the 17th of April 1991, and that, let's get that in the middle. That's the picture. As you can see, the bus is at 45 degrees, and it's just in the process of being pulled up. That shot finally was taken not long before dawn, so it was a lot of hanging around actually. But once I got the picture, I knew I had the picture, and I thought, that's it, I'm going to go everywhere now that I can. The other photographer, he worked for a newspaper called The Voice, I think, which is a paper based in Brixton. He went home and he went to bed. I got back in my mini metro, and I drove to the first newspaper that I knew would be publishing that day, which was the Evening Standard, and I sold the photograph there. I then went round every single national newspaper in London. I forget how many there were, but there were quite a lot in those days, taking the picture from one to another, to another, to another, to another, and I sold this photograph to them all, absolutely every single one of them. And the sales continued on this picture subsequently, actually. It made newspapers in other parts of the world as well. And there, of course, there were other photographs of the bus actually on the side. And one of the sales was made to the company that manufactured the wing mirrors, because although the bus was a bit mashed up, the wing mirror apparently was all intact, and they were very pleased about that. So my object for today is a London red double-decker bus, balanced at 45 degrees, and one which in those days made me, it was a nice day's work, let's put it that way, shall we? Bye for now.